Okay, well, I think we're live. Thanks, everybody. My name is Laura Huffman, and I'm the president and CEO of the Greater Austin Chamber of Commerce. We are really excited to be bringing a new program series to you, and we're kicking it off today. This is called Economic Recovery. This is a new series because all of us need information about how our businesses have changed and how we need to handle 2021. What are those new practices that we can bring forward? How can we keep ourselves and our employees and our customers safe? This is an amazing panel, and you're going to learn a lot. And we've got lots of time for you to ask questions. So as you hear what this panel has to offer, please be thinking of your questions. We learn from each other. That's why we do these series. And so we're all interested in hearing what's on your mind and what you're struggling with as an employer. And look, we know that 2020 was hard. And our job here at the Chamber is to make sure that we connect you to resources to make a hard year as easy as possible. And this series is intended to do just that. So let me start by thanking our partners whose support helps us provide this programming. And if you're out there and you want to sponsor Chamber programs, please get in touch with us. Our pivotal partners are Amazon, Dell, Home Depot, Wells Fargo, and PIMCO. Thank you all very much for digging into this content with us. Our foundation partners, you can see on the slide, we've got Bank of America, Austin Downtown Alliance, Home Depot, Jacobs, Samsung, St. David's, and Texas Mutual. Thank you all very much. And we've got lots of corporate partners here on the slide. And I also want to thank in particular those sponsors that made today's event possible. Our presenting sponsor for the Economic Recovery Series is Dell Technology. Thank you, Dell, for all that you do for our community and for helping us find ways to come out of this pandemic as businesses. The sponsor for today's event is Texas Mutual. Thank you, Texas Mutual. You're always there with us to make sure members get great information. And we've got foundation sustainers and corporate sustainers. And you can see them here on this slide. I now want to welcome a good friend and a wonderful supporter and leader in the Chamber, Jeremiah Bentley. He's with Texas Mutual. He is going to introduce our panelists to you today and kick off what I hope is a great series that we will all benefit from, and how to handle this economic recovery, what questions you have. And we've got a terrific panel of experts to help us out. So Jeremiah, thanks to you and to Texas Mutual for all that you do for the Chamber of Commerce and for facilitating this great panel today.
Well, thank you so much, Laura. I'm excited to virtually see you, and I look forward to actually seeing you in real life, at some point in the future. And I think the tips that our experts will share today will sort of give us the opportunity for all of us to get back toward that. So thanks for that opportunity, and appreciate being here and being able to be a part of this new series and bring this all to life and hopefully share some good information with everyone today. We're grateful to have partners like you and like the folks on the panel to join with us. So in case folks aren't familiar with Texas Mutual Insurance Company, I'm going to share a little bit about who we are. We're a policyholder-owned company. We're proud to be the state's largest provider of workers' compensation insurance. We represent about 70,000 businesses across the state, and our job is to keep people safe, keep people on the job, and help our policyholders succeed and thrive, both with their businesses and also their workplaces. Our mission at Texas Mutual is to build a stronger, safer Texas, and we're proud to support programs like this to help do that. We're headquartered right here in Austin, which allows us to serve more than 5,000 policyholders in the region. It's important to us to be a part of the communities we serve across Texas, and we're grateful for the support and the trust that we receive from so many of y'all here across the region. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that's probably on everybody's mind, It's the changing workplace and economic recovery from the pandemic. We've started the process of inoculation of our country and workforce with the COVID-19 vaccine, but we've still got a long way to go. 2020 was a challenging year, but Texas Mutual and our policyholders adapted. And we're really proud of the work that the businesses throughout the region did to keep their business open, keep serving their communities, and keep serve their employees safe. So we're going to have several speakers that are going to focus on different areas of expertise, and then we're going to have question and answers open throughout, and we will take those at the end. I want to quickly go over our speakers today, and then I'm going to bring our first one up. One first is Nina Leung, our Ph.D. in occupational epidemiologist with Texas Mutual Insurance Company. We're also happy to be joined by Rick Bondurant, market president and statewide property and casualty lead at Frost Insurance, and Rhonda Hall, vice president of human resources and organizational development for University Federal Credit Union. So you can see we've got a broad range of perspectives and interests here. And so we're going to bring you information from across the spectrum about how businesses are keeping their employees safe and dealing with this very important topic. So first, let's get into it and invite Nina Leung to the virtual room. Hey, Nina, how are you?
I'm good. How's everything?
I'm doing great. Nina is also somebody else I would normally see more often because we theoretically work on the same floor at Texas Mutual, but we haven't been there since March, so it's good to see you.
I know, it's really good to see you, and I really hope to look forward to see you in the office soon.
For sure. So your training is an epidemiologist, and we were fortunate to have you on board to help our policyholders and businesses during the COVID-19 pandemic. Can you tell everybody a little bit about what your focus has been since we first became aware of it?
Yeah, so I serve on our response team, which means we address issues in relation to business continuity and operations on site. I provide oversight of our contact tracing protocols, and also serve as an advisor to our risk management office, just to keep our offices as safe as possible.
What does it look like on a day-to-day basis?
So a lot of what we discuss are if there are any modifications that we should make to some of our on-site protocols, just unique scenarios that we run into that just cannot be generalized in a large, protocol. Who to allow on-site, if individuals might have questions regarding symptoms or allergies. Can they go on site, and is it safe? Those are some of the questions and issues that we kind of field.
That's interesting. And so there's been a lot of discussion about the changing nature of the workplace. We've learned a lot throughout the pandemic. We've adjusted our protocols, and others have too. And now, as the vaccine is beginning to be administered, there are other questions. So how can employers ensure safety as their employees begin to receive the vaccination and then we begin to return to the workplace?
So I'm going to answer this second question first, the when, because I think everybody is just wondering when normal might come. And it'll be a really very slow transition, months. I'm the first person to want to go back to normal. I want to take my kids to Disney World, but it's going to take time. The vaccine has really favorable efficacy and safety results, and it really is a solution that we've been holding our breaths for. That being said, the vaccine rollout has been, it is a huge effort. It's been really kind of messy. The anticipated timeline for it hitting the general population release is in about late spring. So May, April timeframe is what they're talking about. In the meantime, as we get our populations vaccinated, it is really important that everyone and employers can help to enforce some of our interventions, is to continue washing hands, stay physically distant as much as you can, and wear a really good mask. Not all masks are equal, so some protect better than others. If you can get your hands on KN95s, that's really good. We say that we need to continue these interventions because we just don't know if after you get the vaccines, you can pass it on to a loved one that might not have been vaccinated, or a friend, or somebody in the community. So that's kind of what it's looking like in terms of a timeline and what we can do as a stopgap while everybody, as much as we can get vaccinated.
Thank you very, very much for that information, Nina. That's very helpful. We'll bring you back up in a little bit for the panel discussion, but now we're going to shift gears a little bit, and we're going to bring up Rick Bondurant, who's the market president and statewide property and casualty lead at Frost Insurance. Thank you for joining us today, Rick.
Thanks for having me, Jeremiah.
How you doing, man?
Hanging in there, doing well.
That's
Happy
good.
New Year.
That's good. Appreciate everything y'all do and everything you've done to serve, our mutual clients and everybody that Frost works with. Y'all are a real pillar of the community, both in terms of being able to provide advice and then just being a good supporter of groups like the Chamber and Austin as a whole. So thank y'all very much for that.
Thank you.
So I've got a couple questions for you here too. Can you offer perspective on how Frost has adapted over the last 10 months and talk about how we and others have helped play a part in helping your organization?
Well, we have a great partnership with Texas Mutual. Texas Mutual is our largest carrier partnership for workers' compensation in Texas. And so you also insure Frost. So, we have a great working relationship, and your teams of experts and the expertise that you make available to our risk managers and our risk control consultants and our producers helps us both here in our own office, but also with employees. So tremendous amount of information that stays up to date from Texas Mutual. So I would say indispensable with respect to what we get from Texas Mutual. Our really messaging within Frost hasn't changed since the pandemic hit. We lean into our values of integrity, caring, and excellence, and so very quickly we transitioned to work from home on the insurance side of things, certainly, and it was thanks to our infrastructure support folks at IT and HR and across the enterprise. It was practically seamless. And so I feel like we didn't miss a beat in terms of our ability to service clients and customers. But we also adhere to guidelines with respect to the opening of office and the ability to occupy offices. So to the extent that the authorities would allow some occupancy, our message has always been, if you only come in to work if you have to in order to exercise those values of integrity, caring, and excellence. So we want people to only come in if they have to get their work done appropriately. And in that event, we adhere to very, very careful protocols. Those same protocols just outlined. We've prepared the offices very well with proper signage and proper disinfectant resources. We have we wear masks at everywhere except at our desks. We make sure that we have enough limited occupancy to be able to maintain the spacing that's recommended, and so that really hasn't changed throughout, and I expect that to continue into the future, regardless of the vaccine.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the vaccine. I know that was something that we mentioned with Nina, as far as how much we would, how many folks would need to have it before everybody would feel sort of safe, being back in the workplace. What kind of preparation is Frost taking right now to get y'all ready for that and get the workforce ready for coming back?
Well, I'm probably is over the insurance operation, not able to know enough to speak to that, other than it's my understanding it will not be mandatory, and so our messaging is going to continue to be to adhere to these protocols for working safely, keeping our employees safe, keeping our customers safe, and so I would anticipate that as the vaccine develops, and as the rates of infection are affected, that'll be revisited. But there's been no change in terms of how we expect to manage our work and our delivering of those values during the remainder of the pandemic, however long that lasts.
Yeah, that's a really important point to make. And that's something that we've had the good fortune to really think about too, is how do we, no matter what situation it is, live up to the company that we say we are? I mean, and that's one thing about values, is they're supposed to guide you, in good times and in bad. And that makes a lot of sense. So I think what I'm hearing from you is that you're going to defer to public health experts and the situation overall, and just be flexible and responsive to the situation before you decide either way on what to do on bringing people back. Is that right?
That's correct. And we'll continue to consult with our advisors, such as Texas Mutual and others, and we'll be able to respond accordingly as things develop. There's so much infection rates in the marketplace now that they're just, there's no need to change what we've been doing, and it seems to be working fine.
And that's an important point too. It seems to work for y'all. People are still productive.
Absolutely.
That's great. Well, thank you, Rick. And we're going to bring you back up in a minute. And I'm going to invite Rhonda Hall to the virtual stage. Rhonda is the Vice President of Human Resources and Organizational Development for University Federal Credit Union. And on the practice call, Rhonda, I believe you rapped. So I don't know if you're going to do that. No?
That was only because you were talking about rapping. So, had to go there. Nice try, Jeremiah.
Okay. Well, if we needed to get the crowd going, we'll know that maybe we could do a duet. I can't. Have you seen the Scoop, there it is, ice cream commercials?
No.
Okay. Well, it's like the 90s rap song, Whoop, there it is. But now it's
there you go. Okay.
scooping for ice cream. So thank you for joining us. Can you tell us how UFCU has adapted since March of last year? I imagine the nature of your customer-facing business, you had a lot going on and a lot to change to protect your employees and the public too.
We did. You can pretty much take what Rick said and implant it as the beginning of my answer in terms of the social distancing and mask wearing and truly checking each of our employees before they come into the office. But really, one of the first things we did is we actually went out and we hired people. We went out and hired about a little over 20 employees very early on in this process, because we anticipated there being opportunities later when some of our employees might be exposed or might actually test positive, and we would need to bring them out of the workforce. So we quickly ramped up. And what that did is by doing that, we also then divided our employees up into pods, so that we kept them in kind of an intact pod, so that if someone at one of our financial centers was exposed, through their home, traditionally is where they were exposed, or through family members and friends, we could quickly close that site down, quarantine everyone in that facility, and take one of our spare pods and put them in, so that the facility didn't have to be closed for any longer than the CDC recommendations while we did a medical grade cleaning. So those were just a couple of the things that we did early on. We, our whole mantra during this, our guiding principle was to really meet our members where they were. And so that many times meant that we started meeting them outdoors, definitely the curbside. But what we were seeing was our drive-through lanes were getting very long. Our lines were, as members were choosing to use drive-through options versus in-person, which we completely understand. So we, put our people in reflective vests. We took some learnings from Chick-fil-A and sent them out into the parking lots to find out what people were coming in for and how we could best serve them, and they were directing traffic. So that was a whole new experience and a new dress code for our employees, that's for sure. And then that worked really well until, kind of the August, September timeframe, when it was getting pretty miserable, to the extent that our curbside parking signs were melting. So, we just had a few things. We also shifted employees. We took 100 of our frontline employees and shifted them to meet the members where they were. and we saw our call volumes increase by 50%. And so many of those frontline employees shifted to start answering the calls and helping our members where they wanted to be served, which was on the phone. So those are just a couple of examples. Hope that's helpful.
That is great. And as a member for almost 30 years now, really have appreciated the service all throughout. We haven't needed, to use y'all a lot, but it's been very responsive at our local branch. So thank you for that too.
Of course.
Can you talk about moving forward? What have y'all discussed about what is the new normal, which is probably already overused, but what does that look like in terms of y'all for your employees and for your customers?
Yeah, so Jeremiah, our goal is to continue to serve our customers in a safe manner while we're also keeping our employees' safety at the forefront of our minds. And so along those lines, we are, if you think about us in the financial centers, we're real excited that we've made it so that members can now make their own appointments. They don't have to call in to make an appointment. And that allows our financial center managers to also manage how many people we're going to have in a financial center at any one time. We're going to keep that going for a while. I guarantee you, we will not be taking masks off or reducing our social distancing anytime soon. And like what Rick said, we will not be mandating vaccines for our employees. We will be encouraging it and strongly encouraging it, but it's not going to be a mandate. So those are the things you can expect from a financial center. As you think about our corporate office, which is actually where the vast majority of our employees work. Now, right now, those employees are working from home. But in the corporate office, we've created a hybrid approach for return to work. Our building is open at this time for anyone that wants to come and work in the building. There's not that many that are choosing that option, but it is available. And our hybrid approach is we're going to take a 5 days in and 5 days out approach, where we're again create pods of our staff employees, bring a group of them in for 5 days in the building, then we will have them work from home for 5 days while we bring another group in for the next week, and we'll do medical grade cleanings at the end of each of those weeks. So that's our plan right now.
That's a very progressive plan. We're a little bit the same. We're doing A week, B week now with just with volunteers. I'm with B week, and like nobody I know is also on B week, so I kind of sit by myself, like sad. But it's okay. It's for the best. Well, thank you for that, Rhonda. And so I'm gonna ask that we bring Nina and Rick back up, and we'll have a little bit of a panel discussion among all of us before we open it up for questions from the audience. So if you are in the audience, if you do have a question, type in the comment section where we can see it, and then we'll get to that. And I've got a few prepared questions though, and we'll just whoever wants to answer something as I speak, just jump on in and give us your best shot at it, and we'll go from there. So we've talked about the vaccine a bit, and I will start with Nina on this one. So we talked about what measure would be needed. What measures would be needed to take after some amount of employees have been inoculated? Like what does that look like in the future?
Jeremiah, could you repeat it, because I couldn't really hear, it broke out.
Okay, I said what measures need to be taken after employees have been vaccinated to ensure continued health and safety?
So still really similar until we get pretty high proportion of individuals vaccinated, and we're looking at more upwards of 40% of the population before we start feeling much more safe. So similar interventions, continued masking and distancing. But when we start to get more comfortable and more people are vaccinated, probably the first measure that will be relaxed is the physical distancing, and then eventually the masking. And I know we can't wait for that day.
And Rhonda and Rick, are y'all having similar expectations for how y'all going to do things?
Absolutely.
Very much so.
What about mental health? This is the thing that we've seen that has risen up. Do y'all have any programs you're doing for your employees or any advice on how to provide mental health support, either for the essential workers that are already out there, or people that are working from home with kids, or people that maybe don't and are feeling isolated? What have y'all seen there, and what's worked?
I'm happy to share what we've done. The first thing we did is we removed co-pays from all of our mental health services. We offer up to 80 hours of paid administrative leave for those people that just have a life challenge. And we're being extremely liberal in what that definition of a life challenge is. We've also spent time with each of the executives making phone calls into our employees, and specifically our CEO continuing to do that, Tony Boudet, making phone calls into employees just to check on them. How are you? We also have one of our most tenured employees who's been with us over 44 years, calling every single new employee, because we've continued to hire throughout this the COVID experience. We've hired over 115 people during this time. So she calls each of those people to do mental health checks. And then one of the things that we do is when we do get a sense that someone is struggling, we have what we call Dinner on Us, and we send them a gift card so that a family-sized meal can be delivered to them with a note from the staff simply saying, look, have dinner on us. Just unplug and be, a mom or a dad or a spouse or a great roommate for tonight. You don't need to do anything else but that. So those are just a few of the things that we've done.
That's great.
Jeremiah, I'll just add, Frost has a very robust employee assistance programs, as well as very generous benefits. One of the areas that I feel like, certainly at the agency, that we've experienced a lot of benefit from, and that's the frequent virtual meetings. I think we've gotten used to virtual meetings, gotten more accustomed to them. We do them better, and we have regular check-ins with our teams. Before the pandemic, we had a very collaborative environment where we had great team interaction. We've continued that through the pandemic. It's just virtual now. And people have gotten comfortable with it, gotten used to it, and I think that helps to continue to foster that social capital that's so necessary for people to feel connected and healthy. We miss the in-person connectivity, but if we do it regularly and we do it well and we do it sometimes just for fun, we're able to continue that building that social capital.
That's great. What would you add to that, Nina?
Just I try to carry with myself on every meeting, just some grace and some love as much as possible, because that's all we need right now.
For sure. And I have a virtual happy hour at 4 with my team, which I find makes that conversation, right? You miss that hallway conversation. I think that's been the thing that you hear a lot about, that before the meeting or after the meeting or at the coffee pot or whatever, those kind of check-ins are probably really important to people's mental health. And we have to find ways to recreate those, in some semblance, even though we can't do it in person now. I think we talked about vaccines. So neither of y'all are mandating vaccines for employees for return to work. Is that right?
Correct.
Right. Okay. What do you have recommendations for employers who are not requiring a vaccine? Nina, I mean, are there things? What's our guidance on sort of how to deal with that?
So, based on national surveys, it seems like what we're going to head into is there's a lot of people on the fence regarding the vaccines. And I think as an employer, I know Texas Mutual, we put a great effort out on communicating factual information repetitively regarding any of the guidelines, and we'll also do so about the vaccines related to the safety and efficacy. We always try to cite, medical experts from CDC, WHO, to help in any of the conversations that might be ongoing. Something probably just new that might be really helpful is providing information on how to get registered for the vaccines at DSHS and Department of State Health Services. It's really a little overwhelming. I try to do it for my in-laws, So any efforts and aid in that capacity would really probably help a lot of workforces.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. This is for Rhonda or Rick. So what was your greatest challenge at the start of COVID, like when it first hit? And then, how has that transitioned, if it has? What are those differently now? And then what do you see going forward as your biggest challenges as a company?
Well, I'll jump in there, Rhonda. I think our biggest challenge going into the pandemic was, getting comfortable from the work from home environment, because we did not, by and large, have people working from home. So that was a huge transition. And then putting in place the kind of the meeting and teamwork protocols that we've had has been what's proven to be the best for that. And I would see us continuing that. In my personal opinion, the protocols, will need to be maintained until we see what happens with the actual rates of infection. And so whether you mandate vaccines or not, I think the safety protocols have to be continued, and then the proof will be in the pudding as those infection rates begin to perhaps decline. And so I think that would be helpful. I know that we're going to be partnering with McGinnis and Lockridge to put on a webinar for our clients in early February, where hopefully we'll see some additional advice on how our clients can kind of navigate that whole issue around vaccines and COVID moving forward.
Yeah, for us, definitely, like Rick, at the beginning, it was transitioning people home. We had a large number of our people that did not have laptops. They had desktop computers. And so great partnership with our IT, getting laptops ordered, built, and programmed so that we could transition, over 500 people to work from home in under 14 days, in all honesty. I'd say during the peak and over these last 10 months, it's been more about keeping people safe. It's keeping our employees safe, not just the ones that are working in our financial centers, but also keeping our employees who are working from home safe. And I think going forward, it's going to be getting the genie back in the bottle, because so many of our employees have been working from home successfully, and many of them love it. Not all do, but many of them love it. And they're starting to ask, so why do we need to work together face to face, side by side again? So building that business case and that change management and helping people understand what our culture is based upon, that relationships are all there is. And that while we've done a good job, I think, of maintaining relationships and establishing relationships with our new hires, we do believe that over time it will impact our culture and our ability to keep the culture what it is. And we love our culture now. So those are, I'd say, my three.
Yeah, I'll even echo that. The onboarding of new employees is a challenge in this environment. It's harder to get that social capital built and those connections made. It can be done, but it is a challenge.
Okay, well, I've got a few questions from the audience here. The first one specifically for Rhonda. The other ones we have are more general. But so Rhonda, you talked about 5 days in, 5 days out. Do you have like dedicated assigned desks or shared desks over alternating weeks? And then are you considering free address / hotel seating?
Yeah, it's a great question. I wish I could tell you, because we haven't implemented it yet. We are in the planning stages now. So right now we are literally in our planning stage. What we've announced to our employees that are currently working from home is we'll remain in a work from home scenario until the end of May. So through the vast majority of the school year for most people. And then from that point forward, we'll go on a rolling month-by-month basis to make decisions about what we're going to do going forward with, giving at least 30 to 60 days advance notice. We're not going to spring anything on anyone that says, oh, by the way, next week, everybody's back. But to answer the specific question, we are literally in that planning stage, and we are looking at the number of people that we would have at any one time in the building, our current physical setup of where offices are, or how offices are situated, and are we going to convert some of them to hotel space? We are, in this plan, we're looking at potentially creating 3 different categories for employees. Those that we do have a few positions that we will allow to telecommute forever. But that's going to be a very small list. We will have those that come into the office on a regular basis. And then the third category is we may begin to have employees work from different locations that might be physically closer to their home. With 23 different locations across Central Texas, it gives us some flexibility. So we are still in that planning phase. If somebody has figured this out, please let me know.
Yeah, I think, Nina, you'd probably say that we're in the same place too, right? As far as we sort of have ideas, but we haven't, they're all on a whiteboard or a virtual whiteboard, and we haven't gotten them down yet. Do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, for the people that we do have on site, so it's kind of a mix for us right now. For those that are, in their offices, they, have the opportunity to go to their offices. We do have some, we don't call it hoteling spaces, but it's treated as, hoteling space. We don't interchange them, but they are week on, week off. And Jeremiah, the design of you not seeing very many people is by design.
I know, yeah. Let's talk about employee feedback. So what feedback from employees has surprised you or maybe has resulted in changes to the plan? Like, have you gotten anything from your own staff that's really been informative?
Well, what I can say is that we did go out and interview many of our staff members, and we conducted focus groups of many of our staff members. And the questions we asked were along the lines of, what would it take to make you comfortable to come and work side by side with others in back, we're trying to avoid saying back in the building, right? So what would make you feel comfortable to come and work side by side your peers again? And we did have 3 common themes come up from that. One of them was around, well, why do I have to come back again? So what's the business need? Help me understand the business need. A second one, and that kind of surprised us. A second one was around, I'm not convinced that the building is safe. So the physical safety of the building. And the third one was around, how are you going to keep me safe? How is my personal health and safety going to be covered? So we have created communication plans around each of those, and we'll be working on helping to educate our employees about upgrades we've done, changes that we've made along those ways. But those were a little surprising for us. I'd love to hear what Nina and Rick have heard, though.
Well, I know that our staff development and HR leadership have surveyed our folks throughout this pandemic to be sure they've got their finger on the pulse of how people are feeling, what their concerns are, and what their thoughts are. I would agree with Rhonda that a lot of folks are wondering, will we be able to have more flexible work from home? I do know that Frost has a interdepartmental or cross-functional group of people looking at options, and that's included surveying across the enterprise, and they're looking at exploring what those options could look like. So there's a high sensitivity to those feelings. So I'm looking forward to see what comes out as far as that goes.
Yeah, and I would also echo the same sentiment that I think one of the greatest challenges that we have also is just helping people feel safe, even after, a large portion of the population gets vaccinated. letting them feel safe, that is going to be a big challenge.
And anecdotally, I've heard from many employees that they want to come back. They miss the social interaction. They miss the peer interaction and the peer camaraderie. And you probably, like any place, it's just a personal observation. You've got your introverts and your extroverts and different kinds of folks, but there's a significant number of people, I think, anecdotally, that have indicated they miss being able to be together.
Yeah, I don't know when the big employee potluck is coming back. Probably not anytime super soon, but that's something I think everybody really enjoys that people have missed out on. Have y'all considered incentives for the vaccine, either financial, non-financial, to help persuade people to take them?
No, I've not seen anything on that.
Yes. Jeremiah, I know we've been following what the Society for Human Resource Management is saying and what a wide variety of employment attorneys are recommending. And while we don't have a solid plan, our intention right now is to pay our employees an hourly wage for the time that they invest in getting a vaccine, but not offering a financial incentive that says, hey, if you want this money, go get a vaccine. That's not what we'll be doing. I don't think we'll go that direction. Nina, what are you guys going to do?
So we are considering a lot of different options right now, but no firm decision has been made. I think we're all kind of trying to see what everybody else is doing as well.
Yeah, I can say that we've done a lot of research with peer companies and other companies in Austin, and they're probably y'all, honestly, Rhonda, they're kind of the same size, generally the same situation, to see what they're doing. And there's a lot of benchmarking going on without a lot of firm decisions being made. Is my observation from being a part of those discussions. Well, let's talk about company culture. We've touched on it several times. So what things are y'all doing to sort of make sure that people continue to live the company culture, and then the new employees get not indoctrinated, but get, onboarded into your culture when you can't do it in person? Because I think all three companies share this sort of strong connection that you can't necessarily have as much now.
Well, at Frost, our values are our culture, and as I mentioned in the initial comments, everything we do leans into those values and are part of those values. Just about every conversation it seems like we have is in the context of those values. So it's definitely in our DNA and has been. So I don't see where anything's changed culturally as far as it's so ingrained and so part of everything we do and included with everything we do, even when it comes to onboarding people. It's just as clear and present as I think it was pre-pandemic.
Yeah, I can just share that one of the things we've been very intentional around is keeping some of our traditions alive. So the tradition of our CEO meeting with all employees, we've kept that tradition alive, where we pull them together. Instead of them meeting in person, they're doing that via Zoom. We've, our annual awards banquet, we've kept that alive and did that via, a virtual event. At a party in a box, we benchmarked with some of the best not-for-profit galas that have gone on over the last 10 months, and we, took great ideas and implemented them for that. And then onboarding our employees, again, just being incredibly intentional around not just thinking of that as an event, but thinking of that as a journey that has to stay. And we have to be more involved with those new hires going forward to ensure that they have an opportunity to see our culture and feel and live and believe and experience our values. So there's a lot of intentionality around it.
Yeah. Thank you for that. My next question here, I think, is probably for Nina, and that is, if I have personally had the vaccine, why do I need to continue to wear a mask?
That's for Nina.
Yeah, I think so.
So there is a lot that we know about COVID, but one thing that we don't know about COVID right now is after you've received the vaccine, whether or not you can give it to a loved one that might not have gotten the vaccine, or a friend that you might see. So right now the recommendation is still to mask and to still distance, because we just don't know that yet. So that is why that recommendation is still in place.
Yeah, it's still very much a looking out for others kind of situation, no matter what. It's something that we've really learned throughout. Well, I'm going to have one more question here, and then I'll give you all the chance to wrap up. This one is for people that interact with customers. Will only employees that have been vaccinated work with customers when they come back into the credit union or office, or are you going to make any distinction there?
I love that question.
Do you have an answer for that question?
I do not have an answer today for that question.
Okay. Rick or Nina, do y'all?
You know, I would probably agree with Rhonda, but you know, to me, continuing those safety protocols until we see the impact on the reduction in infection rates seems to me to make a lot of sense. And to continue what we've been doing has been tremendously effective in terms of keeping our employees and our clients safe. I think we need to continue to do that.
Yeah.
Again, there's a lot of research out there right now, or a lot of conversations happening in the human resources space about the pluses and minuses of putting something on somebody's name tag, you know, I've been vaccinated, because some of your employees may choose or may not be able to get a vaccine. And so what kind of stigma does that create? So that's one of the reasons I'm just not able to answer it yet. But like Rick said, we will definitely keep our safety protocols in place until we just don't need to.
Yeah. Do you want to add to that, Nina? We don't really have a lot of people out meeting with customers. We have a few field folks that do that, you know, and we have a little bit of limited sort of, you know, outdoors at a distance kind of stuff going on. But it's not really part of what we do for who we are. I want to thank you all very much for showing up and for being informative. And I wanted to give you a chance, if there's anything that you wanted to add that didn't come up, or you have any closing remarks, I want to give each of the opportunity to do that. So let's start with you, Nina.
Just stay safe, and same intervention measures. Get on the vaccination list when ever you guys can.
Thank you. How about you, Rick?
I'm just going to continue to say, practice those safety protocols that Texas Mutual touts, the CDC touts, and that we employ, and stay safe. You know, let's let that vaccine work its magic for those that are going to be taking it, which hopefully will be a lot. But let's continue the safety measures throughout.
Thank you, Rick. And Rhonda.
Yeah, echo what they just said. And the only other thing I'm going to add in that is I have 250 people who will be group 1C that I'm looking for a vendor partner to do vaccines with me. So if you'd love to be my vendor partner, please reach out. You know, offering those vaccines to employees and making it easy for them to get a vaccine is what our intention is to do, to encourage them to get a vaccine. Continuing to educate your own staff on the efficacy and the safety of the vaccine, I think, is important as employers, because the more we can help educate our staff and refer them to reliable sources, then I think the faster we're going to get to the larger immunity in our community.
Yeah, I want to echo that and say, this is really hard, and obviously things are not great right now, but something that keeps me going is just knowing that like we have vaccines, people are starting to get them. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, and we just have to stay vigilant and stay safe and work toward that. And that's something that keeps us going out of my back bedroom every day, over and over again. But I appreciate that information, and I'm sure that everybody will enjoy it. So I want to thank you all for being great panelists, and I will bid you good afternoon. And I'm going to wrap up here and let you know that the Chamber has several upcoming events that you can participate in as they continue to inform people on various topics, from the economy to the annual meeting to other things. So the next thing coming up is Inside the Capitol with Comptroller Glenn Hager on January 29th. The Austin Chamber annual meeting, which is the biggest event of the year, is on February 3rd. And then the Accelerate event to help accelerate your business is on Thursday, February 11th. You can register for these and a lot of other wonderful events at austinchamber.com/events. I want to, again, thank you for your time on behalf of myself, on behalf of the panel, on behalf of Texas Mutual, and I hope everybody goes out there and stays safe. Thank you.